Welcome to a new episode of The Brand Called You. I am Arini and I'm with Ashutosh Garg. And today we are discussing about brand you, building and sustaining your brand. Hello, sir.
Hi, Arni.
Getting on top, building a brand is easy, but sustaining it is actually the difficult part. So, what are the few pointers one must keep in mind as they sustain their brand?
So it's the old line which says, it's easy to climb the mountain, it's very difficult to stay on top.
Right.
When you're going in the right direction, everything seems equally easy. But then there are many other people who are trying to do the same thing.
Right.
And as they reach the summit, you have to step off.
Right.
So there are a few factors which, based on my experience, I think we should be careful about. And the first one is to be sincere.
Right.
When you're talking about brand you, which is you and me as individuals, sincerity is one of the most critical things that you must take into account. And every time you interact with another person, your sincerity comes through.
Okay.
How often have you met somebody and come back saying, this guy wasn't being straight with me, or this guy wasn't really someone I want to associate with.
Correct.
And that's really people who you don't want to be interacting with.
Right.
So most of us, whether it's you or me or anyone else we meet, they respect sincerity,
Right.
and they're willing to be able to listen to you if you're coming across as honestly. So that's the first ingredient of making sure that you are able to stay where you are once you reach the top. Of course, you need these qualities to reach there as well.
Right.
The second one, which is very important, is to keep on presenting yourself what I call intelligently.
Right.
Intelligently can have many different meanings.
Right.
If you were to look at some of the well-established professionals, say like an army officer or a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, an army officer will always have his or her rank before.
Right.
A doctor will have DR in front of them. Engineers have started putting ER.
Correct.
Chartered accountants are putting CA.
Right.
But for common individuals, who have done various kinds of degrees, you don't preface it by saying MBA Ashutosh Garg or MBA Arani Chowdhury, that kind of stuff. You don't say that.
Right.
So therefore, you need to be able to make sure that whoever is talking to you, listening to you, is seeing you as coming across as someone who knows what you are saying. And you and I have often discussed this about the fact that if you don't blow your own trumpet, nobody else will blow it for you.
Correct.
And the corollary is, don't blow it so hard that it starts to hurt people's ears.
Right.
So therefore, you've got to be intelligent about it. And I'm sure you again experienced people who you come back and say, this person talks too much. And there's no substance in that individual's conversation. He just has what I call the I disease. Everything is me, me and myself. So, when you're presenting yourself, you've got to be able to also say, who are you? What are the skills you have? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? Right? Because remember that brand you is not just your qualification or your title at wherever you're working. It's your entire persona which carries itself with you. It includes your skills, it includes the way you stand, the way you behave, the way you interact with people, etc., etc. And once you're able to get this unique persona, which you're communicating intelligently to various people, that is what I would say is important for you to sustain brand you.
Correct.
The third aspect is what I often say is that we have to be original. Right? You are a guru of in technology and in media. I am not. If I start to pretend that I can do what Arani is doing, I'd make a fool of myself, because I don't have any depth in the content or the understanding that you have.
Right.
So we've got to also understand that someone who's pretending gets found out very quickly.
Correct.
Right? Again, the old line of you can fool some people all the time, fool all people sometime, but you can't fool all people all the time. Right? So therefore, pretenders are caught out. You also need to be able to make a lasting impact on the people you are interacting with by being original, by being credible,
Right.
and most importantly, by being transparent.
Right.
Transparency in our communication is very critical, especially if I want to say that I am a trustworthy brand.
Right.
If you start to tell me that, listen, I don't believe what you're going to say or what you're going to do, it's hurting my brand image.
Correct.
And therefore hurting brand you. And we often talk about passion, passion being something which comes into our work, into our communication, in the way we interact.
Right.
That passion has to be original, it has to be real,
Right.
and it has to be genuine.
Right. You mentioned you have to introduce yourself. So is that something that I should prepare beforehand? If somebody asks me, okay, what do you do? I should have a set answer to that, or is it something that evolves with time?
No, you are evolving all the time.
Correct.
But it also depends on where you are sitting. So if you're sitting at having a drink with a friend or someone you know, and they say, what do you do, etc. There's one way of introducing yourself.
Correct.
But if you're going for an interview,
Right.
I think it's important to prepare for it.
Right.
I've often told people I coach that before you go for an important meeting, and I used to do this when I was much younger, I would dictate to myself. In those days, we used to have what used to be called dictaphones,
Correct.
those tiny little tapes.
Right.
But today, your phone has the same capability.
Voice memos.
Voice memos. So you dictate to yourself exactly how you would speak.
Right.
Then you hear it back, and every time you hear it back, you realize that my introduction can get better.
Correct.
Because no matter what you say or do, every time you listen to yourself, you say, why am I saying this? Right? So that's an investment you should make whenever you are thinking of your own introduction.
Right.
Because it's you. And
Right.
therefore, the more investment you put in yourself,
Right.
the better it will be for you.
Right. Other question that came to my mind when you were saying that doctors put doctor, CAs put CA, engineers have now adding ER in front of their name. Now, how important is that? Because in this day and age where skills matter more than the degree, now is it really important to get a PhD against your name, or is it just even right now the skills matter more than the degree?
So, personally, I don't think it matters.
Right.
What little alphabets or syllables you put before or after your name. But there are certain professionals, and it really started with the defense services, where you started to see the rank of the individual preceding the name.
Correct.
Then you saw all our bureaucrats starting to put IAS after their name.
Right.
Because it was generally felt that if you have these three alphabets after your name, or three GEN for Gen, or BRIG for Brig, or whatever, it would establish your credibility simply by your name. Then someone else said, in my profession, I can also put an ER or a CA or whatever else. So I think it is just an identifier. I don't think it is that relevant, except in the armed forces, where you have to be able to, when you're not wearing your uniform, the hierarchy is determined based on the 3-4 letters before your name. So the fourth area that I think you can sustain your brand is to be able to create differentiation.
Correct.
And what do I mean by differentiation? We are not products of an assembly line,
Right.
where each one of us is, a clone of the other.
Right.
Right? We are all unique. We all have our own characteristics. We all have our own needs, our concerns, our challenges, etc. So, therefore, in order to be able to stay ahead of the game, and I'm sure you have heard this, all our listeners would have heard it many times, to stay ahead of the game, you need to keep investing in yourself.
Correct.
Right? Otherwise, every day you get a little more obsolete because something new has come which you haven't bothered to educate yourself.
I'd like to dig a little deeper.
Sure.
And so, what does this investing in yourself mean?
Okay. So investing in yourself means that today I have certain skill sets acquired over 45 years of working. I could either sit back and say that I'm already sitting in a senior position and I know everything.
Right.
Or I could sit with my co-founder like you and say, already teach me what is digital marketing.
Correct.
I could say, ask you to do, tell me what all is happening in the world of technology. and so on and so forth. One is a curious mind, which is constantly learning. The other is a content mind, which says, I have no interest in learning anything new. I've already been there, done that, and that's about it. A curious mind will remain young forever.
Right.
A content mind, when I say content, means someone who's oversatisfied.
Okay.
Not content.
Okay.
That's from contentment.
Okay, content.
Not content as the content of a database or something like that.
Right.
So if a mind has already reached contentment, then it starts to die. So therefore, investing in yourself has to keep happening in whatever you are passionate about. I know people, an uncle of mine, after he retired from the army, he was very, very good with languages. So at 60, he learned how to speak Spanish.
Right.
And from the time he was 60 till he was 75, he was teaching Spanish. He was flying with the government to Spain with delegations. He became a translator.
Wow.
And he would translate documents and he would transfer. Now, here is an individual who actually invested in himself, something he was passionate about.
Wow.
And, got so much recognition because he said, I want to do something different. Because if he hadn't done it, the Spanish language wouldn't have come to him, out of the blue.
Right.
Then there are also people who learn a new language. I just spoke to you about.
Right.
There are people who learn musical instruments.
Right.
There are people who are very good in sports. There are people good in public speaking.
Right.
There are people who are doing all kinds of different things to differentiate themselves.
Right.
And that is what I would call truly investing in yourself.
Okay.
I mean, you may tomorrow say, I want to go to Harvard Business School to do an MBA.
Right.
That's an investment you're making in yourself.
Right. Okay.
So, I think, if I was to try and summarize, what building brand use and sustaining it, is that, number one, you have to be confident of yourself. Your own confidence will reflect in your personal brand.
Right.
It will take time. It will be painful, but slowly but surely brand you will get established. And if your ingredients are right when you're building brand you will find you will be able to stay there as well.
Okay.
Once you've established yourself, and if you're really strongly ensconced in whichever place you're in, then it's going to be very difficult for someone to dislodge you. The only one who can be your greatest enemy is yourself, because you just decide to stop investing in yourself. You decide to stop doing things which led you to building brand you and reaching that pinnacle. That's damaging yourself. The wider the acceptability of your brand, the greater resilience you're building in the brand. And for every time that you're going out and talking to someone, I think it is becoming more and more essential to become the winner, to become the individual who has a strong brand, and to be able to constantly keep on saying, I stand for this, I stand for these values, this is who I am, these are my skill sets.
Right.
And that is brand you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You podcast. Be sure to visit tbcy.in to join the conversation, access show notes, and discover fantastic bonus content. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Simply search for the Brand Called You. Thank you and see you next week.